Welcome back to the Shop Mini RC, everybody. I'm Ken, and today we're looking at the Hobby Plus Arktos. It's also going to be the Evo Pro and any other CR18 based axles. So the FX118s, all that stuff, the old Harvest, all the different trucks that use CR18P axles now have an awesome option for underdrive and or overdriving your Arktos here. So it's going to be pretty cool. If you've got an Arktos and any of these trucks, you can easily do this without having to buy anything. You've already got it all in the trucks. And if you don't, you only have the Arktos or you only have one of the trucks, you can easily pick up the new part number for the trucks or the old part number for the Arktos and get some overdrive or underdrive, depending on how you look at it. Let's check it out. So if you don't know, the Arktos 6x6 from Hobby Plus on the CR18P axles actually has an all new ring and pinion setup in here. So the old tooth count on the ring and pinion that's on all the other CR18P platform axles, again, whether it's a Evo Pro, a regular CR18P, or any of the Furatech FX118 trucks, they all come with a ring and pinion that has a 13 tooth pinion and a 26 tooth ring or spool. Okay, the new count that's on the Arktos specifically, because they wanted to slow this guy down just a little bit and give it more torque since it's going to be carrying a load. It was more about the torque than slowing it down, but that's always the trade-off. They put new ring and pinion gears in here. So the new teeth count is now 11 tooth and 28 tooth on the spool. So that's going to be really awesome, which means you can take any of your old trucks and put the ring and pinion from the CR18P Arktos 6x6, that 11 tooth, 28 tooth combination, and throw it in one of your trucks, and that'll give you a 27% underdrive in the truck. So on this guy, we've got a Furatech system in here. It rips around. It's way fast and way faster than we really want. So a good thing to do on this, since we want to have an overdrive or underdrive situation, would be to underdrive the rear here. That'll slow us down just a tad, but give us that difference between the front and rear that is going to help with our climbing and our uphill ascending and things of that nature. It basically helps pull your truck and gives a little bit of tension in your suspension, as well as letting your front dig in more. So your front is going a little bit faster than your rear. You're going to be digging into the rocks more, and it's going to help keep you tucked onto the rock and pull you up and over. The only downside to over or underdrive, again, they're the exact same thing. Overdrive and underdrive, they're the exact same thing. It's just a matter of what your stock truck is. And if you make the front go faster, it's overdrive. If you make the rear go slower, it's underdrive. But doesn't matter which way you go. I generally like to underdrive the rears so that you are slowing the truck down as a whole, which gives you more torque, because more torque is important. By overdriving the front, you get a little bit more wheel speed, but you lose the torque in the front. So you can have more cogging on a brushless motor, things of that nature. You have less granularity in your throttle control with a brush system. So having more torque on a crawler is always good. You'd rather that than wheel speed 99% of the time. And again, that underdrive or overdrive situation is really just about making the front spin faster than the rear, or the rear spin slower than the front, just so that you can have that extra tuck, because again, it's going to help pull the truck apart because you're spinning faster. You're going to pull faster in the front. It's going to pull you forward a little more, and it's going to keep you sucked to that rock. Now, that's not ideal on a trail rig, especially if you have a lot of overdrive. Too much overdrive can be a bad thing. It'll hurt your side hilling. It'll cause when you're going along a side hill, right? You're like crawling along the side. If your front's going too fast compared to the rear, it's going to try to drag it, and your rear end's just going to slide down that hill as your front's pulling you along. So there's a balance, and going too far will hurt you, especially in trailing. In trailing, you can end up breaking drive shafts. You're going to overheat your motor. You're overworking your drive line because your front is always going to be dragging your rear along at higher speed. So if you're trying to go fast, you're doing a rock bouncer or a trail rig, you don't want under or overdrive. You want it equal in front and rear. But in a crawler, you definitely want the rear going slower than the front. Okay. So now, before we get any further into this, guys, please like, subscribe, and share. If you like this video or it helps you, definitely share if you think it's going to help someone else. I know a lot of people out there are asking about underdrive and overdrive on trucks. We've done one for an SCX24. I'll probably put the video right over there so you can check that out later if you've got an SCX24. All the concepts are the exact same. It's just a different way of doing it in the SCX24 because they're worm gears versus ring and pinion. But that like, subscribe, and share is very important to us. The subscribe is just a click for you if you're not already a subscriber, but it means the world to me. So please, if you like the channel and you want to help support, do that. We also have channel members for those that want to check out behind the scenes stuff and see videos early and with no ads and things of that nature. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. All right, let's get back into this guy, and we're going to do it. We're going to pull out the front ring and pinion out of our Arktos. And it's going to be a slower ring and pinion. We're going to throw it in the rear of our Evo Pro here. And then we're going to take our rear, which is a faster ring and pinion, and we're going to throw it in the front of our Arktos. So we're just going to swap them front to rear and rear to front. So that'll give us a little bit of overdrive in our front on our Arktos here, which means we're going to lose some of that torque in the front. But because it's a 6x6, we still have all that nice low end torque from the rear. But we're going to have a little bit more wheel speed in the front. So that might help us pull ourselves up over some spots and then get those rears hooked in and go. So it's going to give us a little bit more crawlability out of this guy. May not be ideal, but because it's a hauler, right? As long as we're not trailing too much or going too fast, you just want to keep an eye on your motor temperatures if you're going to be doing a lot of trailing. And again, this is only going to do a 27% differentiation between the front and the rear, 27%. Now, if you combo that with the portal underdrive or overdrive, I believe it's overdrive, it's a 20% overdrive with the portal gears. So you can take the new gears, put them in the rear, get that 27%, and then add the overdrives in the portals, and that'll give you 47%. So you're going to speed up the front and slow down the rear on a normal truck here, and that will give you 47% overdrive. Now that is a lot. That is a lot. So you're going to definitely see some dragging in the rear end there. I have 50% overdrive in one of the rigs, and it is too much. I think I'm going to take it down. So I don't know if you want to go 47%, but you could if you had a reason to. And so having that option is just awesome. It's also cool that you can get the overdrive or underdrive from the portal gears as well as the ring and pinion, which is just sweet. Now I'll go ahead and put that part number for the new 11-tooth, 28-tooth gear set that comes in this truck in case you don't have the Arktos. That's going to be showing right over here somewhere. I think it's 240462, and that's going to be a new ring and pinion set, the 1128. Okay, so we have three different options now for gearing. We have our stock gears with your portal overdrives. We have the new gears with the portal overdrives. We have them without the portal overdrives. You can mix and match however you want. If you really want to go crazy, you can overdrive the front and the rear and just go faster, or you can put the slow gears in and just go slower if you put them in the front and the rear on one of these guys. If you want your Arktos to really haul butt, you can put the overdrive and the portal gears in all the axles. So overdrive, well, not overdrive, the old ring and pinion in here and all all three axles, and then also the 20% overdrive, and you'll go 47% faster on this little guy. Now you're gonna have like no torque. Your torque's gonna be horrible. It's probably not gonna crawl well. It's gonna have a lot of cogging if you go brushless. It's gonna have you have to give it a lot of throttle pull to get it to go up because you have tons of wheel speed. But with the 2 speeds, it's kind of cool because you can kind of be very adjustable to the terrain you're on. So just some cool options, and I love that. All right, I'm talking a ton. Let's go ahead and get this stuff installed real quick. We're going to pull out our front and pull out our rear and swippity swap. One more combination that I totally spaced out is you could actually take your 20% overdrive portal gears and then put in the 27% underdrives all in the front, which will give you only 7%. So you're going to slow down your ring and pinion here, but speed up your portals. And that speeding up of the portals is going to speed it up 7% essentially, because you're doing 27 plus 27 here minus 20 here, which is going to give you a 7% overdrive. So if you really wanted to do just that tiniest bit of overdrive, you get your stock in the rear and then a 7% overdrive, again, by going 27 here and then minus 20 in the middle, 7%. Maths. So I just realized that the Evo Pro already has the 20% overdrives in the front here. So you can see I marked the tires here with some silver pen, and it's going to essentially spin, the front is going to spin 20% faster than the rear. So you can see that front mark is now lapping almost. There we go. Now we're lapping it, and we're doing it again, going around 20% faster than the rear. So because you've already got 20% on this guy, I don't want to put 47% in here, like I said earlier. So I'm going to use the Fury Wagon here. This guy is still stock, and it has no overdrive or underdrive at all. And this guy's got pretty good wheel speed too. It's got the stock motor NESC in there, the Venom with the Lizard Pro. And it's got pretty good wheel speed, which is almost, it's good for crawling to have wheel speed, but I'd rather have a little bit more torque. We got good slow crawl, so it's not like the slow crawl is lacking in any way, but we're going to have even better slow crawl once we get that underdrive in the rear is what we're going to do here. Also, another thing I forgot to mention about overdrive and underdrive. When you do an over or underdrive with the front wheels spinning faster, rear wheels spinning slower, that's going to help your turn radius. So your steering angle, when you max it out and then you start to go, and you've given it throttle there, it's going to help pull this guy around. So you're actually going to get a better turn radius without having to increase your steering angle. Remember, steering angle is this. That's your steering angle. Okay, how the angle of your steering. But you can get extra turn radius through over or underdrive because, again, that front's going to be going faster. It's going to pull the rig almost like a tank, right? It's going to pull it around faster because the back end is kind of like dig. It's, if you know what dig is, it's where you lock the rear on a larger scale. Hopefully we get dig someday on one of these guys. But you'll be able to lock the rear, which allows you to then turn your wheel and pull the front end around without the rear moving at all. So under and overdrive effectively do a very similar thing. Not quite as effective as dig to spin you around, but it definitely helps. And especially if you go crazy with your over and underdrive, you're going to have a ridiculous turning radius. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do it on this guy instead of this guy because, well, he's already overdriven. And so we're going to underdrive this. Oh yeah, did you notice the new Torq 1022 in here? The TCM 1022? Man, this servo's a beast. I just wanted to show you. This servo has, right now, the highest torque per volt on the market. It's also super fast and responsive, just as fast as all the other high torque servos that are out there. So you take your pick, your favorite name brand high torque servo, and this is just as fast, and it's actually a little bit more torquey at all volts. It goes up to 8.4 volts, and rear exit on the wire there, which is awesome. And yeah, they're cheap. They're like $45 with the aluminum horn. Can't be beat. I wanted to show you. They also have a little bit more budget option right here called the 1011. A little bit less torque, 6 to 8 volts still, which is awesome. Aluminum servo horn, all the same awesomeness. Rear exit wire servo, waterproof, all that good stuff. But it's a lot cheaper. It's even cheaper. But it is less torque and less speed. This guy, though, beast. Straight up beast. And for the SCX24 guys, they have the same thing, but it's the MLS, the mountless servo. And you don't have to use a mount with it. It's got a built-in mount that goes straight onto the SCX24. You mount it straight on there. No ears on the servo, so you don't hit your chassis rails. And it's the same as the 1022, which is super high torque, high speed. And again, $45 with aluminum horn and the mount built in, so you don't have to buy an extra aluminum mount to mount that high torque servo. Frickin' awesome. So swapping out the ring and pinion on these guys is a little bit of a task. It's not hard, just a lot of screws to come out. So let me go ahead and start by showing you what's happening here. Oh, another thing about under and overdrive is it kind of helps eliminate torque twist a little bit. So if you're having torque twist issues and you've already stiffened up your springs on your shocks, because that's probably the best way to do it, or lighten up the chassis, everything above the chassis that's sprung, your body, everything that's chassis up. If you lighten that up, that'll help eliminate torque twist. But stiffening your springs will, and then over or underdrive, because it's putting a little bit of resistance or strain, not strain, I don't know, I guess resistance is it. It's putting tension. That's the word. It's putting a little bit of tension on your suspension. It kind of helps eliminate some of that twisting from the torque. Speaking of springs, these are the new neck shocks. They make a true reservoir version as well. These are the best shocks I have ever used on the mini crawlers, for sure. And they're the only shocks in the world that have a true reservoir. Now, these ones are the regular ones, like I said, but there are reservoir shocks. Let me see. Boom, these guys right here. They even have, these are for the Red Cat, but they have 50, I believe it's 53 millimeters and 59, and these will work on them. They're on these guys and the other Hobby Plus trucks because they're the same. They're 2 millimeter hardware. So you got some longer guys here, and these shocks are so buttery smooth, and you can adjust. This is a true reservoir here that the oil pushes through this bypass. There's a bleed valve there. There's also a little adjustment down here on the bottom of this, so you can adjust the plunger that's in there and help give it some extra pressure inside to dampen it, adjust your dampening. These things are amazing. I have a full breakdown on the TRX versions. I'll probably put it over here, and maybe I'll do another video here in a little bit at some point showing the newest ones, because again, they just released the Red Cat or 2 millimeter 53 and 59 length shocks. So pretty sweet. Like I said, you can see they work on here just fine, no problems, and they're buttery. We went with a little heavier oil though. I'm busy talking, sorry guys. Let's go ahead and pull off. We have to pull off our portals. That's the part that's a little difficult here. Actually, I'm going to show you inside here. So the reason we have to pull our portals off is because we have to get our axle shafts out. So our portals are going to come off, which means we have to pull all the gears in here out, which is not a big deal. It's pretty easy, and then we can pull out our spool, as well as take our drive shaft off and pull our pinion out. Once we get all those screws out, we can pop all this out, and if you're lucky, your gears don't come out of there if you keep all this nice and tight in here, and you can just pull the whole axle shaft right out just like that. Keep everything together. You don't have to take the gears apart at all. And then we'll do the other side. Got that other side off, so both sides are off, and look, it just falls right out. Very super simple. We're going to get our drive shaft off here and pull out our pinion. Oh, forget this guy is a Phillips. Simple as that. Pushes right out. So as I said, this setup here is a 13 tooth on the pinion and a 26 tooth on the spool here. Now I don't think you can mix and match the pinion, the 11 tooth and the 28 tooth. I don't think you can do that. It probably has a different pitch or mod. That's the spacing of the teeth. So, I mean, you could try that. I'm not going to, because that's not what this video is about. But if you want to experiment, you can. Just make sure your mesh is good so that you don't, eat stuff up and chew up the gears. But if you can, and they are compatible, we'll look at it, and I'll look, but we're not going to swap them around here because I want the 27%. But you could get some kind of custom ratios out of that if you really wanted to, if they mesh. And now we're on to this guy. Yeah, these guys are 7 millimeters here for the little hubcap covers. I'm almost tempted to take these brass rear portal covers and put them on the front here, because we don't really need the brass on the rear of that Fury wagon, and it'd be nice to have some brass on here, so I might end up doing that. I don't know, we'll see. I won't probably show it in the video, but I'm gonna maybe look at doing it. And hell, you could actually do the fronts without taking the wheels off, because you're just going to be taking the knuckles and the portal boxes using these two screws off. So you don't actually need to take the wheels off to do that. You can see, just like so. And I don't think we're going to be able to use these portal covers here, because I would need to Dremel them out. I could, but I'd have to Dremel them down because these are meant for the backs. So you don't really have a space for this part of the steering here, the steering knuckle link. I don't think it'll fit. I don't know. Maybe we'll look when we get one off, but I don't think it will. When I look at these guys, you can see they're kind of slotted for that. So now just be careful. There's little bushings in here. You don't want to lose these little bushings. They're inside your C-hub. Okay, so definitely don't lose those guys. And then you'll be able to pull this right out. Let's get this other side off. So we got both knuckles off now, and we should be able to work these out. There we go. Okay, and then we can take off the front of our diff cover here and get our spool out. Bam. Okay, Looks like we got the bushings in here still. That FX118 is all bearings, in case you didn't know. So we're going to swap over our bushings and our bearings, because we want to keep the bearings in the FX118. And the bushings in this guy. Bushings are good for when you might get muddy and wet. And we're probably never going to run the Fury Wagon in mud and water and whatnot. But the hauler here, you might end up in some sticky situations. All right, so swap that. Swap this. I still need to get the pinion out. And we'll have to pull off the drive shaft to do that again. Man, when this guy's in gear, it's a tough one. It's in low gear. It's got a ton of torque. It's hard to turn the drive shaft by hand. And there we go. This is our smaller pinion. So let's look here. If we were to take this small pinion, and this guy here, does it mesh? Oh, looks like it might. Looks like it might mesh okay. This guy, the bigger pinion, over here. Yeah. Close. Maybe not. It's a little less. Oh no, it seems fine. So you could probably mix and match those. You might have to shim things forward and backwards, depending. But yeah. Very cool. All right, so let's get our underdrive. Actually, we'll go ahead and put this into the 6x6. We're going to put our overdrive in the front of the 6x6, which is the exact opposite of what we just did. So all you got to do is drop your pinion in there. Get your drive shaft back in. Remember, try to phase your drive shaft. Phasing your drive shaft is making sure that the ears on the drive shaft match up on both sides. So you can see that does not match up, right? The ear here is facing us, but the ears here on that center shaft are side to side. So we want to rotate this guy. That helps prevent vibration and binding and stuff like that. So now you can see, now they're lined up. Okay, go ahead and throw this in. Drop in our spool, easy peasy. Bring our axles in. Wait, go the wrong way here. There we go. Portal. You gotta make sure those key into that spool. There we go. Key into our spool. And don't forget your bushings. So we gotta make sure our bushings go into our C-hubs here. But yeah, should be golden. All right, we get this guy back together, and then we'll get the FX118 together, the Fury Wagon, and we'll check it out. Check out the overdrive. I'll show you. I'll mark the tires. Magnetic tip screwdriver is always so handy. Getting these bushings in there. You can drop that bushing in there, line it up. You start trying to use your fingers, and then you can even go like this. And that'll help you line it up. And then your screwdriver can hold it while you line up your knuckle here. Get your axle in there, and there you go. All nice and lined up without the bushing falling out. Remember, don't over tighten these, just get them nice and snug. You're going into plastic. If you're not going into plastic, you need to use some Loctite that goes when you go into the metal. But going into plastic, you don't need to over tighten. It's pretty rare that screws back out of plastic, so it's better to be a little loose than to over tighten it and strip it out and damage the axle or the C-hub or the knuckle. All right, let's go ahead and get our diff cover back on. And that's also our servo tray mount here. The long screws go in the top and the shorter screws go in the bottom. And then we'll put our wheels and tires on it. We are done with the Arktos. Now, I always like to test things before we get everything completely assembled, just to make sure there's not binding happening, because if you put your wheels and tires on, you have the whole thing assembled, you don't necessarily know where the binding could be happening. So this feels pretty nice and loose in there. The motor is so much torque, it's like hard to turn it, but you can see that, you know, our drive shaft's turning nice and free. Our steering's still good. Everything feels nice and loose. We'll go ahead and pop our wheels and tires on, and we'll do the FX118, then we'll show the wheel speeds. All right, our pinions in. Whoop, let's get our drive shaft screw. There it is, drive shaft screw in. Our spool in. And let's make sure you always want to make sure all your pins are sitting nice and flush. Everything's nice and flush in there. Because if these little pins are popped out, when you go to put things together, it's not going to sit nice and flush. There we go. Again, don't over tighten those if they're going into plastic. And then our diff cover. Super easy, just a little time consuming because there's a lot of, you're taking apart two axles essentially, but man, very cool that didn't have to buy any extra parts if we got the two trucks, and we can just kind of get a little bit better performance out of both. I love that. And I love that Hobby Plus is making the options, right? Like giving us a couple different options, different builds. Not everybody's building the same type of truck. And not everybody's building them for the same reason. There's some people out there doing hardcore comp crawling, you know, using comp rules, RC, MCCA stuff, all the way down to people who just want to have fun with their kids and bash them around the house and go fast and really don't care, to speed runs. There's people that try to speed run these trucks, get them to 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, which is wild. So Overdrive gears helps that kind of stuff. And just having all those options breeds extra creativity, right? Being able to mix and match ring and pinions and portal gears and all that different kind of stuff. Your motor pinion, your main gear, and your transmission, 2 speeds, all that kind of stuff. Can't wait for dig, but all that kind of stuff really kind of gives us a lot of options on how to build our rigs. All right, we're all back together. Let's check out this guy first. Let's go ahead and get our transmitter on, get our battery plugged in here. All right. Remember, this guy is a 2-speed. Oh, can you see it? Here, let's go ahead and mark it. Use our silver marker pen. I'll go ahead and mark right here. And here, just so you can kind of see. Mark here. The rears should be the exact same, and then our front right here. All right, let's give it a little bit of throttle and see how much overdrive it looks like we have. See that? We're already ahead of the rear 2. All the way. Nice. This is going to really help our turn radius on this thing. Not that they had a bad turn radius at all. For a 6x6, it had a dang good turn radius. But now, yeah, buddy. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. All right, let's look at the FX118. Go ahead and mark these tires as well. Remember, these guys are single speed. They don't have the luxury of the 2-speed transmission. They're more compy. You don't really want a 2-speed in a comp rig. Nice. So our rear is just a tad slower now. It's going to be 27% again. Same as that CR18P Arktos, but that's freaking awesome. So it's going to be a huge help when it comes to turn radius and uphilling and just getting that those front tires to really grab. They're just going to grab because they're spinning just a tiniest bit faster. Also helps take some of the slop out of the driveline just a little bit because, again, it puts tension on the suspension. Yeah, that's sweet. All right, guys. Well, I hope you found something interesting in this video. I hope you learned something. Yeah, I really just wanted to show that because a lot of people have both trucks, both the 6x6 and one of the other CR18P platform trucks or FX118 platform trucks. And it's an easy swap over. So yeah, I just wanted to show you how to do it, show you that it could be done, let you know, give you some information on it. Again, you can pick up those parts if you don't have the new 6x6, if you want to underdrive one of your rigs, which is what I recommend doing, is underdriving it because they already have so much wheel speed. But yeah, Appreciate everybody watching. Make sure you do that like, subscribe, and share, like I said at the beginning. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. That lets you know when new videos are coming, as well as checking out our swag. You know, we got some swag. We also have channel members. I mentioned that before. Huge shout out to all of our channel members. Again, they get to see videos before everybody else with no ads. Also behind the scenes, they also get priority comment replies as the channel grows. I'm not going to be able to talk to everybody, and I've replied to every comment on that channel so far, which is wild because I have tens of thousands of comments, but I always try to respond and help people. That's the whole reason I started the channel, is to help people learn about these trucks. I know a lot of people out there are kind of scared to dive in and cut things and, you know, solder and take things apart. And so I just want to show that it's easy. It's easy to do. It doesn't take any special knowledge usually. Soldering is a little different. It takes a little bit, but even then, it's super easy. I mean, once you know, it's easy. I guess all of it, once you know, it's easier, but it's just that getting that initial confidence. So by seeing me do it, hopefully you get the confidence to jump in there and open it up yourself and yeah, do your upgrades on your truck, because that's really the biggest part of the hobby. It's, in my opinion, one of the best parts of the hobby, next to the community. When you've got a good community locally, it's awesome to hang out with, you know, the people there that are building awesome stuff and, you know, getting driver skills and sharing those skills, whether it's builds, upgrades, driving, all that stuff. Super awesome. So love the community, but also love doing the upgrades. Love to show that stuff. So tinkering is something awesome, and I don't think we see as much of it as we used to back in the day. Kind of dating myself here, but nowadays with video games and handhelds and all that kind of stuff, it's, you know, you don't get your hands into the nitty gritty as much. At least the younger people don't. So I love to show that they can do it, because we always need to get young people into the hobby. So yeah. Get out there, build something awesome, do some upgrades, build a car, build a course, build a community, smash it, crash it, bash it. Just don't break any expensive parts, guys. Peace.